Key 1. Stoic. Ever feel like you're constantly running on empty, always giving, but never receiving? Like you're the go-to person for everyone's problems, but when it's your turn to ask for help, the silence is deafening? Sounds all too familiar, right? Here's an ancient truth, one that resonates as much today as it did centuries ago. Stoicism isn't just about enduring hardship or pain. It's about understanding when to draw the line, prioritize yourself, and offer support to others without losing yourself in the process. It's about the art of not burning yourself out just to keep others warm. You may be intrigued, and rightly so, because this ancient philosophy holds the key to transforming how we approach kindness, generosity, and yes, even self-care. If you've ever felt like you're giving too much or you're curious about achieving a healthier balance in your life, this one's for you. Don't skip ahead. Stay with me, because we're about to dive deep. Picture this. You're the person everyone counts on. The one who always says yes to every request, who drops everything to lend a hand. It feels good, right? Being the reliable one, the fixer. But here's the catch. Bit by bit, you're giving pieces of yourself away. And one day, you reach for something to give and realize there's nothing left. Now, when you need support, you're standing alone. Why? Because you've exhausted yourself trying to fill everyone else's cup. This is where Stoic wisdom, as taught by figures like Marcus Aurelius, comes into play. He often stressed the importance of self-care, saying that we cannot effectively serve others unless we are first whole ourselves. Think of it like this. Imagine two neighbors with gardens. One tends to their garden first, making sure it's healthy and thriving. Because of this, they have plenty to share. The other neighbor spends all their time tending to everyone else's gardens, neglecting their own. Over time, their garden becomes overgrown and unproductive. The moral? You must care for your own garden before you can truly help others with theirs. This doesn't mean you should stop helping others. Stoicism teaches balance. True generosity is sustainable. It doesn't come at the expense of your well-being. As Epictetus famously said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. We have the power to say no when necessary, ensuring that our acts of kindness do not deplete us. Plato, too, reminded us to understand our own limits and embrace the idea that real kindness only comes from a place of strength, not exhaustion. And Carl Jung, in his wisdom, urged us to look inward and make sure we're not wasting our energy on external demands while neglecting our inner peace. The Stoics, like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus, were all about the purity of action. They believed in doing the right thing for its own sake, not for recognition or reward. Seneca, in particular, had much to say about generosity. He argued that true generosity doesn't seek praise or acknowledgement. It simply gives because it's the right thing to do. He said we should give as we would like to receive, cheerfully and without hesitation, for there is no grace in a gift that sticks to the fingers. Imagine giving just to see the joy on someone's face, without any hidden agendas or mental tallying of who owes whom. This is the essence of Stoic generosity, giving from an abundant heart, not necessarily for material wealth. When we give with the expectation of something in return, we're not truly giving, we're trading. Life is too rich and layered to reduce to transactions. This Stoic approach to giving aligns with Aristotle's view on virtue. True virtue lies in finding joy in virtuous acts for their own sake, not in the rewards they might bring. Giving should be about finding fulfillment in the act itself, knowing you've made a difference, no matter how small, in someone else's life. Plato, too, emphasized living according to our highest ideals, regardless of the outcome. Generosity, in this sense, is about embodying your ideals, being true to your values, without concern for the return. If you're feeling stretched thin or worn out, remember that self-care is the foundation of any meaningful generosity. You can only pour from a full cup, so take the time to nourish yourself. True kindness is about balance. It's about knowing when to give, and more importantly, when to reserve energy for yourself. And when you do give, let it be out of a place of abundance and without expectation of anything in return. Generosity, according to Stoicism, is about acting with integrity and joy, knowing that you are living in alignment with your highest values. So, if you've ever given too much and felt drained, or if you're curious about how to find balance in your life, know that Stoicism has a path to offer. The key is to be tolerant with others, but strict with yourself, recognizing your own limits, and nourishing your own well-being so you can give without depleting yourself. Key 1. Stoic life, in its complexity, invites us to explore both our light and dark sides, as Carl Jung beautifully articulated through his concepts of the shadow and the persona. The persona is the face we show the world, while the shadow holds the parts of ourselves that we keep hidden. Jung's work challenges us to integrate both, acknowledging that even in giving without expectation, we are embracing authenticity and self-integration. This act of generosity, when done without anticipation of return, is a profound expression of self-empowerment. The ancient wisdom of Epictetus reinforces this idea, reminding us that while we control our actions, the outcomes are beyond our grasp. When we choose to give, whether it's our time, kindness, or resources, we do so from a place of inner control. This choice is empowering. It shifts the focus from what we can receive to what we can contribute. The beauty of giving without expecting anything in return is not just noble, it's liberating. It frees us from the trap of unmet expectations, from the resentment of feeling used, and nurtures a spirit of generosity that enriches our own lives and the lives of others. The act of setting boundaries also plays a crucial role in maintaining our well-being. In a world that demands so much of our time and energy, the pressure to be constantly available can be overwhelming. Stoicism, with its emphasis on personal virtue and inner peace, teaches us the importance of saying no in order to preserve our own energy and focus. But this isn't about neglecting others. It's about protecting our resources so that we can genuinely be of service when it counts. Consider a mother who, out of love, gave everything to care for her daughter. While this may seem like the epitome of love, it had unintended consequences. The daughter never learned to navigate the world independently. It was only after the mother's passing that the daughter was forced to stand on her own. This simple story reveals a profound truth. Sometimes, excessive help can stifle personal growth. By setting boundaries, we encourage independence. As Marcus Aurelius so wisely noted, self-discipline and understanding what is within our control are essential to leading a virtuous life. Setting boundaries, then, becomes an act of wisdom, recognizing that we can offer support without taking over others' lives. Seneca also reminds us that true happiness comes from within, not from others' actions or circumstances. By drawing lines in the sand, we empower others to rely on their own inner strength, just as we cultivate our own. This principle aligns with Aristotle's idea of the golden mean, finding balance between two extremes. In the case of boundaries, it's about finding the middle ground between helping others and preserving our own well-being. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It's an act of wisdom and self-respect, ensuring that we don't become depleted by the constant demands of the world. Finally, many of us have learned the hard way that being constantly available can lead to feeling undervalued. It's like being the old reliable car that everyone depends on without considering the maintenance it requires. But the moment we start setting boundaries, we initiate a transformation. It's not just about saying no to requests. It's about asserting our own worth. Marcus Aurelius teaches that our peace is not disturbed by the actions of others, but by our judgments of those actions. By asserting boundaries, we are essentially declaring that our time and energy are sacred, not to be taken for granted. Seneca echoes this by emphasizing that true freedom comes from mastering oneself. Choosing when and how to say no is an exercise in self-discipline and control, an act of asserting our autonomy. Epictetus would remind us that we are the stewards of our time, and by setting boundaries, we reclaim our freedom to live with purpose. Key 1. Stoic, the power of setting boundaries. Stoic wisdom for personal integrity. In life, we can't control how others perceive us, but we do have full control over how we act. One of the most important tools for maintaining personal integrity and emotional well-being is setting boundaries. This concept goes hand in hand with Stoic philosophy, which teaches us to focus on what's within our control, our own actions and responses. When we set boundaries, we're not just protecting our time and energy, we're also asserting our self-respect and making it clear that our well-being matters. Plato, with his theory of forms, might argue that the ideal form of helpfulness isn't limitless availability, but offering help in a way that honors both the giver and the receiver. True kindness is sustainable. It's about knowing when to give and when to protect our energy so we don't burn out or feel resentful. Similarly, Carl Jung's perspective on individuation would support this view, emphasizing that by setting clear boundaries, we define who we are in relation to others. This process of self-definition is essential for both psychological health and personal growth. When we begin to set boundaries, it's not an act of selfishness. It's a declaration of our worth. It's a clear message that says, I value my time, my energy, and my well-being, and I expect the same respect from you. Setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out or being less caring. On the contrary, it allows us to offer help more effectively. It allows us to be truly present when it matters most, without the underlying feeling of exhaustion or resentment. In essence, setting boundaries helps us to remain generous without losing ourselves in the process. This transformation benefits not only us, but also those around us. By setting boundaries, we teach others how to respect our time and energy. It's a subtle lesson in mutual respect, a reminder that healthy relationships are built on understanding each other's limits. This mutual respect, in turn, creates a more harmonious environment where everyone's needs and contributions are honored. Setting boundaries is often misunderstood as a weakness or an indication of selfishness. In reality, it's a powerful act of self-respect. It's an essential part of maintaining healthy, balanced relationships. When we refuse to let others overstep our limits, we're not only valuing ourselves, but also modeling for others how to respect their own boundaries. This creates a ripple effect, encouraging a culture of mutual respect and healthy interactions. The beauty of boundaries is that they allow us to care for others without sacrificing our own needs. Just as we cannot pour from an empty cup, we cannot be there for others unless we take care of ourselves first. When we prioritize our own well-being, we become better equipped to help and support others in a way that is genuine and sustainable. As we explore Stoicism and its teachings, one of the most profound lessons is that inner peace isn't passive. It's a result of intentional, deliberate choices about how we engage with the world. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, understood that the key to a fulfilling life lies in balancing care for others with care for oneself. They showed us that true generosity doesn't mean giving until we have nothing left to give. Instead, it's about giving in a way that enriches both the giver and the receiver. Living a Stoic life means being aware of our limits and acting according to our values, without attaching our happiness to the outcomes or seeking the approval of others. It's about finding joy in the act of giving itself, knowing that we have acted with integrity and that we've contributed to the world in a way that respects both ourselves and others. When we live by Stoic principles, we don't just change our own lives, we inspire those around us to do the same. By demonstrating that it's possible to be kind without losing ourselves, to be generous without becoming martyrs, we encourage others to find their own balance. We teach them the importance of setting boundaries, respecting their own needs, and cultivating a sense of inner peace amidst life's challenges. This wisdom is not just ancient history. It's incredibly relevant today. In a world that demands so much from us, it's crucial to know where to draw the line, to give generously, but not at the cost of our own well-being. Setting boundaries is not about withdrawing from the world. It's about engaging with it more fully, with a clear understanding of what it means to live well. The ultimate lesson here is to live boldly and compassionately, with a deep awareness of both our own needs and the needs of others. It's about striking a balance between giving and preserving, between caring for others and honoring our own limits. Stoicism invites us to live fully, embracing both the joy of giving and the strength that comes from knowing and asserting our own worth. As you reflect on these teachings, remember, setting boundaries is not only an act of self-care, it's a practice of wisdom. It's a tool for building stronger, more respectful relationships, and a powerful step toward creating a life of balance, fulfillment, and inner peace. By living according to these principles, you don't just transform your own life. You become a beacon of inspiration for those around you, showing them that it's possible to live well with generosity and integrity.